We're live on X, YouTube, Rumble. We'll be live on Rockfin. As soon as the little red button here is clickable, then we'll get started. I spent this past weekend at the Great Create and at the Omaha Brewing Company, where the Great Create was in Omaha, Georgia, which is just outside of Columbus, learning a lot about raising chickens, foraging mushrooms, and many other do-it-yourself type solutions that the government doesn't want people learning and knowing about. In this upcoming show, I'm going to be talking to somebody who also does many things that the government doesn't want you to know that you have the power to do at the local level. Self-sustainability, going down to your local government and watchdogging politicians there. And I'm excited to talk to this guest. I think you guys will be too. And I just want to say for the Great job to everybody who put it together. Zach, Jake, Elizabeth, Grumpy, a lot of people from the Libertarian Party of Georgia, I'm sure. I'm leaving many people out. I will be showcasing some of the products I got there in the upcoming shows because it really was a fantastic time and almost got hurricaned out, I guess. Although I didn't come into any problems with the weather. I just got all the alerts that made me almost drive off the road about how alarming they are. The weather ended up being fantastic. So I'm excited to talk to the guest that we had today just because she's smart. She fights the government. She takes action. She's also beautiful and charming. Welcome to the show, guys. A fan favorite, Forest Mommy. How are you doing today, Jessica?
That was so nice.
It's all true.
Thank you. I'm good. Is my sound okay? Like I said before.
It sounds good. Can you guys in the chats here? Does everything sound good?
I don't think my good microphone is on, and I just don't feel like figuring it out. But anyways,
the globalists cut that shit off. Yeah.
It was.
I always love having you on. It's you're. I think we're kindred spirits. We're both night owls. We both have shot firecrackers from various orifices of our body at some point in our lives. And we both don't like the government very much. And you specifically, you ran for office in Colorado despite smear attempts against you. And you put yourself out there, which is the fear of putting yourself out there is something that I think prevents a lot of people from taking action locally, even if they want to. And your Twitter account's a great follow. It's at Forest Mommy. You're always updating people on the stuff that you do, whether it's when you were running for office or the events that you go. It's like you're going to an event all the time. Tell us about what's been going on with you lately. I know Colorado's in the news quite often, like Georgia is. What's the latest going on?
We got really popular lately. Well, the very coolest thing was I got to see Ron Paul live. Like that was 2 weekends ago.
That's awesome.
That was really fun and random. And I went up with a friend of mine who she's running for county commissioner in my county. I'm helping her because she's like she's fought for taxpayer rights for like 20, 30 years. And she's who should be doing it. Right. Anyways, so we went up, did that. That was fun. Thanks, JVP. Thank you. But yeah, and then I try to go to a lot of like different Liberty meetups and hangouts and things like that. So but right now I'm helping my friend campaign, so I'm learning how to do stuff like how to screen print. I've learned how to screen print, and I've learned how to cut like vinyl and do vinyl stickers and stuff like that. So I said, as soon as we're done, we're launching Forest Mommy merch right after the campaign is over. So
and that stuff right there that's a barrier that prevents people from getting the word out because all these companies have these resources we don't have. We were talking before the show about the mic and the audio, and when you do a podcast yourself, the problems that can come up frequently that people in the main networks don't have because they have a dozen of dick sucking interns behind the scenes doing it all for them.
I want a dick sucking intern.
We all need a dick sucking intern. But unfortunately, we don't quite have them. And so we're plagued with problems to the point of where they pretend to be like us in the mainstream where they're like, I'm live from my basement because of COVID or a hurricane. It's like, go blow yourself, dude. Nobody believes what's going on there. So what's the controversy? There's a couple controversies going on in Colorado. There was a little while back. There was the RFK controversy thing, and I feel like I don't know if it's libertarian specific, but I feel like there's a lot of libertarian conflict that revolves around Colorado. Am I wrong about that?
There might be, but you know what?
You don't deal with it really. You just do your thing.
I'm like, I'll show up to meetings and stuff because I like to like show up and get people riled up and let's go. Like it's the best way to find people who might be able to help with whatever. Everyone can only help so much. So the more people you can find that can help a little bit, that helps get a lot more done. Right. So, but yeah, the drama, I don't know, like it's stupid and
you don't get caught up in it. And I was
try
talking
not to. I've said a few things. Okay, I'm not completely.
Well, you know,
I've said a few things.
So like you made this point really great before. There's a lot of people can talk and complain and stuff online. Easy not to take action when you have that avenue, but you can also go do stuff locally. And it takes getting off the couch, and it takes, putting yourself together, because sometimes it's just easier to stay home. It's just easier to get behind the screen and feel like you're doing something. And not to say that you don't do something when people do stuff at home, because you can get the message out. But when you combine that with showing people that you can get out there in the world, because they tried to normalize staying at home for a while. I mean, they did. And when you get out there, it's a leadership thing. I think it draws, especially somebody like you who's got a fun personality, who's open, non-judgmental. And I see the pictures you share all the time. Do you find that sense of community when you go and do local events and you meet people, that encourages people to come out to the next event and maybe bring a friend to the next event and make it grow?
Yeah, for sure. Like it totally helps. And it's just like, even now at this point, like we've all had people that we could say whatever we want to say around for the last 4 years. We didn't care, right? But there's a lot of people who still like don't have that. So they love seeing that. They love coming out to stuff like that. And yeah, you just got to do stuff. And like, I hated running, but like it helped me meet people in the neighborhood. Like I now have meetings that I can walk to other people's houses, and like we're all meeting up and we're all doing things and we're all like helping where we can, and it's fun. And a lot of them are like, they followed me and stuff, so they know, like they're all fiery too. Like it's a lot of these excuse me, like even the younger like GOP girls, because the GOP party's got all sorts of internal drama too, just like libertarian, just like them all, and so all these people are like, no, we actually have to do something. And so like they love to have fun, and they love me, they love how like they love being sassy, they love causing problems, and we have so much crap going on even in Arvada. Even when I was running, there was just, it's insane what's going on now, like, and what I know about. So it's like,
right.
Yeah,
and it does.
It's fun
it does.
though. It's so fun.
It is fun. It's fun to get out there too, and for me, it's inspiring too. So I went to that the Great Create event that I mentioned at the top, and know that you are aware of, and seeing you do so many things up in Colorado inspired me to try to get out there more and do more man on the streets and go talk to people and go to events. And every time I go to an event, which it's been a handful of them this year, but every time you get to be around people who they share your values, your optimism, I would say. So for me, a lot of people can take deconstructing the news or talking about the control of the government as a black pill. I don't see it that way. I see it as a proof that everything's an illusion, and you can do more, and you can learn more, and you can be self-sustainable. And getting around a lot of people out in the real world who feel that same way, and who has so many skills, and who can teach you, and you can learn from them. I mean, I learned so much stuff just a couple of days up in Columbus at this event, just as I have at other events, that makes me want to continue to do it. It's a infectious feeling that I think can be easy to forget about when we are so confined to our computer screens. And it's the type of thing that they don't want people doing, going to interact with other humans who believe similar things and are as optimistic and proactive as you are. So I want to commend you for doing that. And I think everybody should follow you on X, because your X account, you've used that platform to kind of spread that mentality, in my opinion. So Great job on that. And do you have
Thanks.
any other
I say a
thoughts
lot of
regarding that?
stupid stuff too. No, I say a lot of stupid stuff
But
too on
but the
there.
people
So
that matter, right? They're not like, oh, I can't hang around Jessica because she said something that I don't like. It's everybody says something stupid. You know how many stupid things babies say? They're retarded, like all of
oh,
them.
they're so dumb. They're
They're
so
so
dumb.
stupid. Babies are. Which didn't Trump? I heard a couple clips in passing. I don't know if you heard. I don't have this one pulled up, but Trump like almost called Kamala retarded the other day. He
I
said
didn't hear that.
something like Joe Biden. He became mentally incapable. Kamala Harris was born that way. She was born. I'm like, that's like, I feel like he's saying Joe Biden became almost homosexual. Kamala, like that, like close to calling him a fag almost. So he's like, moving the window on that. So I say, go for it, Trump. Just call her retarded, and you might get a few people over to your side who don't trust you. But let's see, we got a couple comments here. I think you saw one earlier. So, JP said even Forrest Mommy's neck is sexy. That's
I pay him to say nice things.
JC says hi to everybody. Stoners here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Denver's here in the chats as well. Did you guys you guys are in Colorado, so obviously you weren't affected by the hurricane, I'm guessing. If I had to,
No, it's been beautiful.
It didn't make it all the way up there.
No, none of it.
So it wasn't as powerful as they led us to believe. So I wanted to play a segment that Jake Tapper did with you recently. In fact, I was saving this for when we got to talk because I know how pissed off you get about the COVID stuff, just like me. And so Jake Tapper said some things here, which actually are very true and that I agree with. But at the same time, the audacity of this piece of trash to say this stuff after his role, what we know his role was in all of the COVID. And then we have a special guest who just popped in, who's here just for you, Forrest Mommy, that we're going to talk to after that. So this is Jake Tapper about a week and a half ago talking about his daughter who was misdiagnosed and almost killed her, he says. And now she's promoting a book about it. Every news segment is somebody promoting a book. But keeping in mind what Tapper's role during the pandemic was with what he's saying right here, and then we'll stop it and make some comments about it.
Our health lead, this next story is one that is very personal to me and my family, and perhaps to any of you who have gone through anything similar. In November 2021, my then 14-year-old daughter, Alice Paul Tapper, nearly died because she was misdiagnosed. Alice's stomach was hurting. We took her to the emergency room. She told the doctors how much pain she was in. But the doctors insisted that she had a viral infection and seemed to downplay how important it was. It was not true. She did not have a viral infection. And Alice kept getting worse. She was in a lot of pain. Her skin started to turn green. It was frankly terrifying. Now, it turned out, ultimately, Alice had a perforated appendix, and it was leaking poisonous fluid into her body. Alice began getting sepsis. Her body started shutting down, what's called hypovolemic shock. Because I have this privileged position, I want to acknowledge, I was able to get the phone number for the head of the hospital, and I was able to call him and advocate that Alice get imaging and a consultation, which we had been pleading for, in which the doctors had been denying Alice. Thankfully, the head of the hospital listened, and after an x-ray and a sonogram and a CAT scan, she had emergency surgery and was rushed to the intensive care unit. Months and months and months of recovery followed. Alice did recover, though, after she got the actual care that she needed. But Alice now wants to make sure that no other child has to go through what she went through, and she's out with a brand new children's book called Use Your Voice. It's about the importance of kids advocating for themselves when adults, doctors, authorities refuse to listen to them, especially in the hospital.
Oh, really, Jake? It's about advocating for yourself when authorities and doctors don't listen to you? in a hospital setting. That's interesting coming from a person who was at the front lines of you need to take your shot or you're going to kill your grandmother. But now all of a sudden advocacy is an important thing. The compartmentalization, which not that he doesn't know what he's doing, but this to me, I watched this and my blood boiled. He's right. He's absolutely right with what he says. But the fact that he was telling people to do the opposite, do not speak up, always trust your authority, always trust your doctor, up until now, when he wants to promote his daughter's book after the fact, it just pisses me off beyond belief. What do you think about what he's saying so far?
Audacity or whatever. Like, it's just, you can't even, I can't even comprehend it after what they did to us. After what they did to us, Brad,
I know. And this is one of the guys who did it. This is one of the guys who was calling ivermectin horse medicine. This is one of the guys who was putting Dr. Fauci, you always need to trust the science, trust Dr. Fauci, unless, of course, he's literally describing the exact same type of situation that people who didn't want to get vaccinated found themselves in. But when people questioned it back then, it was, you're a Russian MAGA killer of your grandma, but it's just such bullshit. And him talking about his privilege, my privilege here, and he brings his daughter in, she talks, and Sanjay Gupta makes an appearance. You're a big fan of Sanjay Gupta, I'm sure. I have a friend who tells me, I don't know the truth of this, that he takes all these people at Grady Hospital to a secret lair and does experimental brain surgery on them. I don't know if there's any truth
about that
to
before. I think we've been talking about that before. Yeah,
so
he's the worst.
He is the worst. And hear a little bit more of this.
And my daughter, Alice Paul Tapper, a healthy and strong 17-year-old, is here, along with CNN's chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who joins us as well. Alice, there is a moment in your book, Use Your Voice, where your character says, quote, even though I'm a kid, I have the power to advocate for myself, to be my own supporter, and so do you, unquote. And I know this is a mission for you. You think it's very important that kids understand that they have agency over themselves. Explain why that is something that kids need to hear.
It's really important for kids to know to use their voice and to speak up, especially when adults don't listen. Because when you're a kid, you're not really given much of a voice. You listen to authority figures and your parents. And when you're put in a really tough situation, like being in the hospital, you have to know how to stick up for yourself.
Really?
And one of the things that I've heard is, well, of course, we were able to get the attention we needed. We weren't actually. Although at the end, yes, I was able to call the head of the hospital, but we're doing this, you're doing this because most people don't have the privilege that we have.
Exactly. And the most important thing to me is that this doesn't happen to anybody else. And to warn parents that misdiagnosis can happen, and to always stick up for your kid. If your kid is still feeling sick or still in a lot of pain, there might be something that is missed. And it's really important for parents to push for their kids and for kids to know how to advocate for themselves and point to the face on the pain chart that's a 10 and point to all the...
Again, everything she's saying is correct. It's the hypocrisy that Jake Tapper is the one presenting this is what makes my blood boil.
It seems very rehearsed and a performance for her right now. I even think she looked at her dad a couple of times. I'm doing all right.
And they got Sanjay there to help her through it, and they're only telling us this so she can promote her book.
Yeah.
Scary things sometimes just so your voice can get heard.
And you've heard from a bunch of kids who have gone through similar.
I want to get to Sanjay because Sanjay said a couple things here, all right, that just adds on to the hypocrisy of this. Nate says this is a way to get to transing the kids. That's an interesting angle, Nate, where it's like you need to your parents might say don't trans the kids, but you need to, or the doctors might say don't do it, it's against your best interest, and they might say no, it's not. It's in my best interest.
Yeah, someone will put that in there. Someone will tell them to say it. Someone else will be like, yeah, it's your own idea, kid. This is your own idea.
Don't let those doctors stop you from what's best for your female inside.
I gotta say, Sweet Alice, just so glad you're doing well.
Alice?
Congratulations on the book. It's really, I've read it. It's terrific, and it's important for the reason you're asking, Jake. The study that a lot of people will cite is a study of over 20 million people who visited the hospital for all sorts of different reasons. And they went back and they looked at this rate
like a
of
gunshot, but it was
misdiagnosis,
written down
which
as
can
COVID.
mean either
Right.
they missed the diagnosis or they got the wrong diagnosis.
So remember when they were just diagnosing everybody with COVID and putting them on ventilators? Some wrong diagnoses that went on there, but don't challenge those diagnoses.
Alice, as you know, in your case, it was a combination of two. They didn't diagnose appendicitis. They did diagnose viral gastroenteritis or a stomach bug. They got it wrong. But take a look at the numbers. Overall, some close to 400,000 people die annually because of these misdiagnoses. More than 400,000 people sustain some sort of permanent disability.
Maybe that's
true.
Now that sounds frightening,
suck.
which is why
maybe the doctors just suck. Maybe that's what the problem is.
The problem is there are some doctors that absolutely suck, and the culture has created a fear of questioning doctors, of questioning their diagnosis, because it's like a follow your doctor's orders is what we always learn. We're sick. We learn that the solution to being sick is we go to the doctor and we follow doctor's orders. It's like a boss subservient relationship. And that has prevented people, along with people like Jake Tapper and the entire media, telling people, like shaming people and calling them awful things if they didn't want to take the COVID vaccine or they questioned it, just making you, like the fact that they're promoting this very thing that they absolutely struck fear into people when it comes to doing it before is just, it shouldn't be unbelievable to me, but the audacity, I've never thought that I would see a segment like this, just ignoring their role they had in everything else, because what they're saying is right, but it's their fucking fault that people are afraid to do what they're telling them to do.
Yeah.
Pisses me off, man.
Make sure you look at the last line as well, which is 0.1% chance of a severe outcome from a misdiagnosis.
Yeah.
So the chances are it's not going to happen to you. But when you start looking at 0.1%, you're still looking at hundreds of thousands of people that this does happen to every year. When it comes to appendicitis, I looked this up, Alice, specifically, about 25,000 kids every year have appendicitis, but around 5% of the time the diagnosis is missed or they got it wrong. It's more than 1,000 kids a year that this happens to, which again, why your book is so important. I was struck when I read your chart specifically that the problem seemed to be something known as diagnostic momentum.
Adverse reactions to a vaccine, there could be millions of them. And
absolutely.
That's just, we have to do that. That's not too many. That's
right. And even if you have full evidence and proof and case studies from actual medical journals, which I did with my dad, you still get told you're going to die if you're not vaccinated, and they shun you out of the room. And so I know that the doctors in practice, not all of them, some of them are actually good, but a lot of doctors followed what they said during the pandemic, which is you need to get people vaccinated and you need to strike fear into their minds and hearts. If they don't, still persist, and yet you have these cocksuckers here saying this.
Mine even pushed it on me. I had a direct primary care doctor just told me how healthy I was, and then let's get the vaccine. I'm like, you motherfucker, no.
Right, right. It's unbelievable.
People started to say that's what it is, and they all sort of piled on, and that was sort of the groupthink that happens in hospitals, like other institutions.
And Sanjay, in addition to kids reading this book, what should kids and adults do to reduce the chances of misdiagnosis?
Well, sometimes it's hard to mitigate that completely, because you guys really did the right things. But I think walking into a visit,
are they trying to set something else up too about this? Like, what's this? It seems a little odd, right?
It seems very odd. I don't know.
They're setting something up.
Like questions to avoid a misdiagnosis. The fact that they're even bringing up, you can ask questions when a doctor diagnoses you.
Maybe because a lot of their kids are going to start suing parents and doctors over like transing them or something. They're like, look, it was just a misdiagnosis. Maybe
yeah, we didn't realize it. It's not our fault.
We thought that was a normal thing to do.
As much information as you can provide. Details that may not seem that important to you.
So he said, get as much information as you can provide, which kind of sounds like do your own research, which, as we know, is very racist.
Yeah, only idiots do their own research. Okay, yeah. Everybody else just does what they're told.
Yeah, that's what Fauci says.
Sometimes are important to the healthcare team, but also really asking a few questions, making sure that in addition to the conversation that you're hearing, that you're also asking questions such as, what is it specifically that could be causing my problems? Simple question, but asking that sort of can sometimes get a group sort of
they
reset.
Don't like it when you ask it about the vaccine.
What else could it be? Analysis.
That's the exact question I asked the doctor with my dad, because I had this case study that they had identified as a rare side effect. And I said, is it possible something else, or like is it possible as a vaccine, or is it like what else could it be from your diagnosis? Like, is it possible the vaccine or any other of these possibilities? I didn't even say the vaccine. I was trying not to sound like a conspiracy theorist while also providing information, but even asking, he got very, very upset with me.
Okay, she didn't have classic right lower quadrant pain. She had more generalized pain.
All right, we got
what
it,
else could
buddy.
that be? It may have helped sort of redirect the team. And then when will I get my test results, and what will those test results actually mean? What decisions will be made? I will say that Jennifer,
Could you imagine asking any of those questions when you were diagnosed with COVID, or just
No.
no, it would not have been acceptable. It's
Listen,
crazy.
Get out.
Yeah.
another member of the Tapper family, your wife, mom, she was the advocate. She was beating the drum. You
Now, remember during COVID, you weren't allowed to be in the room. A lot of people weren't. So how can you have this advocate?
Exactly. Especially
You all were,
especially for the elderly.
People are
There's no one
right.
advocating for them.
God,
They had iPhones going around
yeah, say hi. Give
or
your
iPads.
give your grandma a digital hug through the fucking iPad.
she was really beating the drum on this. And I think that advocacy is really important.
Is
Politeness is always nice, but probably not the priority.
Wait, politeness is nice, but not the priority. These kids so mind-boggling.
They were
But
saying like if
yeah.
you needed medical care and you weren't vaccinated, you shouldn't be able to get it. Or if like you needed transplants, they were saying we shouldn't be able to get
You
it.
should
Now they're all
die. Yeah, they're
now
like
they're
you should
all-
fucking die, is what they said. You get the point. It's that segment. You're right. Is there something coming down the line they're doing, or is that just Tapper's like, let's go ahead and sell some of my daughter's books that the CIA probably wrote?
Yeah, the CIA. Yeah, what's the underlying messaging in it that's going to get to the children or something?
Maybe the transing angle. Maybe it's the transing angle. I don't know. I can't watch that without getting so pissed off. I always imagine like if I were to like meet Jake Tapper, I wouldn't. I wouldn't just go off on him. I'm sure he's got a bunch of security guards, but is there ever a circumstance where you can have a conversation with people like this that they can't just immediately get out of, I don't know that there is. I think they protect themselves from actual real people. Kind of like
Remember when Dave Smith and Cuomo? Did you watch that?
I watched some of it, yeah.
He still wouldn't like admit it. He still wouldn't, even like as nice as they were all, but he would not admit that he was wrong in any way, shape, or form.
And he still does
all that shit.
He still does. He's a weird one. Like Cuomo is. I mean, obviously he's trying to play both angles. He did that from his basement show, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
But like anybody thinks, which is funny because Cuomo also did it from the basement show when he said that he was having to, shelter in place because he had COVID.
Yeah,
he's pretending to have COVID, and he's fist fighting people on bikes in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. All right, enough of that. So I'm going to bring a guest on. Before we bring him on, I don't know. I just saw this right before the show. Did you get a chance to see that there was like a 43-foot nude of Trump that was put up? Look at that.
No.
Yeah, it's new. 43-foot nude Trump statue erected
Well, that's
along
normal.
the Las Vegas highway. Looks like he's trying to
Very
shake.
normal behavior.
Yeah, right. Right. Who's got the time to put together this statue? Here's our guest to speak on the issue. Mr. President, you're here with, I know Forrest Mommy is one of your favorite mommies, Mr. President. Oh my God. I didn't have your song queued up, Mr. President. I apologize. Is this proud to be a Kamala man or proud to be an American? Mr. President, this isn't one of your rallies.
Oh, it just gets you like goosebumps.
I have goosebumps right now. Mr. President, I know we're all imagining you turning and looking at the crowd like this, like you do as you wait.
I needed some time to walk in here, Brad.
Oh, okay. So You had to set that up. Okay. Yeah, get
I had
get in the zone.
I had to make it to the skiff.
Do you take Lee Greenwood everywhere you go with you?
Yeah, he's here right now, as a matter of fact.
His Stoner says he's got hard nipples after listening to that.
I might be able to. Hold on.
You gonna do something for him?
Yeah, I might be able to get him to play it. Just give me a minute. He's just hanging out.
No, to play what?
Proud to be an American.
We just heard "Proud to be an American," Mr. President.
Yeah, but I mean, he's hanging out in the skiff. We're having a good time.
We don't need to hear it live again. We already heard it.
There's a lot of us over here. It's me, JD.
You had a skiff party.
Yeah, we're just having a skiff party.
Yeah, I don't know if you should be letting that many people in the skiff. Could be a lot of private information.
Oh, it's a pretty big skiff, Brad.
Well, I'm not saying the size of it. I'm just saying the value of the information. You're supposed to kind of keep that limited.
Well, the information can't get out,
Right.
I don't keep all the information in the skiff. It's just what we talk about doesn't get out of the skiff.
All right. It's perfect logic. Stoner wants to know if you can sign his man boobs.
I mean, is he going to come meet me somewhere?
Perhaps in the skiff. Mr. President, do you know anything about this 43-foot statue somebody hung of you in Las Vegas?
At first I thought they were doing another thing, like with that hideous ginger woman running around with my head cut off. I thought
you're talking about
not Jen Psaki.
Jen
She's
Psaki.
Kathy Griffith.
Kathy Griffin, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
she's got she talks like she's got a frog in her throat.
Right. Yeah. You thought, but no, it's not her. This appears to be somebody else.
I thought it was another hanging effigy,
I thought maybe you did it.
Why'd they cut the picture off right there?
I don't know.
Where's the D?
I was curious if they had it to scale or not.
That's a good question. What you think we'd be able to see it, Mr. President?
What, my little president?
Yeah, you're very little president.
Oh, nobody said anything about being very little, Brad. I got a lot of people who can tell you otherwise.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. You should do an ad of all the people who could say otherwise.
Well, it might get me out of a lot of trouble more so than in more trouble,
I guess that's true. Oh, there it is. Actually, looks like we did get the full frontal there.
Oh, is it blurred out though? Did they
It's blurred out like a Japanese porn.
I made it look like it's pretty big.
It does look like it looks like it's hanging on the barbed wire fence to me.
Yeah, it looks. Well, it looks like they've got me hanging from a gallows
Outside of a prison or something. Who's this creep out here getting the close-ups? Well, I don't know. Man. All right. Well, we haven't seen one of those at Kamala. I don't know what that one would look like.
You get in trouble hanging a black woman. You can't do that.
That's true.
Yeah, nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that here. Nobody said anything about that.
You say that like you said something about that, Mr. President.
No, nobody said anything about that. Nobody's been making any jokes like that in the skiff.
All right. Just a little defensive.
Not Steve Bannon.
Is Steve Bannon in there?
Nobody said anything about Steve Bannon.
Denver here, Mr. President, if you want to comment on this, says that Sanjay Gupta is like an Indian version of Uncle Tom, parachuting in to defend a structural, immoral, and broken system.
Well, you made a comment about old Sanjay earlier that when all of my information comes out, your friend might be pretty correct.
What, you have some private information coming out?
Oh, we've got a lot of information coming out. It's coming. We got a big October surprise.
What do you guys think? Forrest, Mom, you got any ideas or thoughts on what maybe the October surprise will be? Because how much bigger can you go at this point?
We got a whole. Go on.
I'm wondering what kind of snacks you got going on down there on the skiff. At the skiff
in the skiff, we got a whole McDonald's buffet.
So good. Good.
We're just packing in those double cheeseburgers and Big Macs, some large fries. What was that?
Oh yeah, well stacked. I'm sorry, but like I would have loved to be at that party, Trump, with the picture from the White House with all the McDonald's. Like,
Right. Yeah,
I
we
just
feel a
would love to do
little shunned, honestly.
Well, Brad, you and I have had McDonald's together.
In Conyers, where there was a chemical thing going on today.
Yeah, that's mighty weird. You know, I went out to Conyers, the next thing you know, a chemical factory explodes.
Right,
Oh
not-
yeah, I
yeah.
saw that. That was in Georgia.
Right. It was
Wasn't
8 months
it?
later that it happened. Down
And
there.
I was in Savannah, you know.
We know. So, are you going to a lot of the places? So, I was thinking about this. You're going to places that normally Republicans don't necessarily try to win, like Savannah and where were you? You were in New York the other day.
Well, you
Are
know,
you? Yeah. What's the strategy?
well, you know, for instance, Savannah just got hit by a big disaster. There.
You cut out a little bit there.
I said Savannah got hit by a pretty big disaster, and I don't see Kamala visiting these disaster zones.
Well, you and her both visited it before it happened.
I was just there, Brad.
Yeah, before though, it didn't. It was a pre-disaster visit? You're saying? You said you guys are about to have a disaster?
No, for the hurricane.
Right, you were there before.
No, I was there after, Brad.
You're not telling the truth, Mr. President.
Brad, I'm telling you the truth. I was there. I was in the disaster zones.
You can't retroactively change the date of the disaster, Mr. President.
Brad,
Unless you're saying the disaster was Kamala's appearance there and you came after that disaster.
What happened after the disaster, sir? They were traveling far.
What do we listen to? No, we don't need another song. We don't need Jukebox Hero, Mr. President.
No, it's not Jukebox Hero. I got Neil Diamond here.
No, we don't need Coming to the Border.
To America.
Hear
Mr.
that?
President.
Fans, here we are.
We're
Mr.
coming
President.
to America.
We're coming to America.
Mr. President,
Oh,
Yes, Brad.
I don't want to have to cut your mic off, Mr. President.
Oh, you do that just like
I'm
CNN in the
dying.
debates,
I got like the giggles over here. I'm dying.
Well, it's cutting in and out, and you know we're going to get a cease and desist letter from Neil Diamond.
Oh no, the Diamond and I, we go way back.
I thought he was against you.
that's perfect.
You know, a lot of people say they're against me. They have to.
But privately, they're in that skiff with you.
Oh yeah, just chowing down on that McDonald's.
What do you guys think about this headline here? I haven't read the story. I saw this pop up here on Daily Mail. British clergyman 69 dies during drug-fueled sex with Belgian priest 60, who's then arrested by the cops after cops find ecstasy in his Antwerp rectory. There's a lot there. Do you know anything about this?
Sounds like a slow night, to be honest.
I mean, so he collected ants.
Is that a Catholic thing?
Like-
Antwerp rectory. I mean, rectory sounds like it really is. That what his?
I'm pretty sure it's one of those glass ant piles.
Oh, I thought maybe it was his backside.
I'm looking it up.
A British
Antwerp.
clergyman died. Yeah.
The story's coming up. I think it's a place. Antwerp is the place.
Yeah. The place. His his bussy maybe.
It's prison purse.
Yeah,
So,
prison first.
I know you saw those pictures
And Mr. President, the CIA
with Kamala and Diddy.
Well, there's also a picture of you and Diddy.
Well, you know, I know a lot of people. I've been very rich for a long time.
What would Kamala? Maybe Kamala says she knows a lot of people.
Well, you know, she slept with a lot of people.
Some would say you might have too.
I definitely did.
You did or didn't? You're cutting out again.
I said in my day, I definitely did.
Yeah. So your defense, the argument with Kamala, I would say I would maybe choose a different one if you're guilty of the same.
Well, I didn't sleep with P. Diddy.
So you're saying she slept with P. Diddy is your accusation?
I'm saying that she's been at those parties. I'm thinking some weird stuff happened there.
What do you think happened at those parties? Let's speculate.
I mean, the sad thing is they passed Justin Bieber around like currency.
Is that right? Mr. President, you're gonna get kicked off for misinformation, disinfo right now.
Bunch of satanic rituals. They're evil people.
Right, allegedly. Right. Thank you, Stoner. We have to include allegedly on that because they are trying to stop disinfo, and I went through some clips from the Brookings Institute. Some I have more where they're just labeling anything that you say as disinfo that needs to be proactively stopped. Even if people who say things that might lead them to believe they might say things that you say need to have their accounts taken down. What do you feel about, people saying that maybe you're you're an agent who's sent out there to lead the censorship call of everybody by being an extreme figure who's in on it? Some people think you're in on it.
So this is the same thing as 2016 that me and Hillary were working together all along. Is that right? Is that what?
Well, I didn't say you and Hillary. I did. I'm just echoing what some people say.
In 2016, they said the same type of thing.
Well,
it's true. Yeah. I've given to both parties. I have both liberal and conservative sensibilities, like most people do.
So no answer then to that question.
What was the question again?
The question was, are you in on it? Are you trying to silence dissidents by being an extreme dissident? Or are you believing the things that you say and promote?
I'm pretty sure I believe everything that I say.
Yeah. So the dogs, what about the dogs and the cats?
Oh, that they're eating them?
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of people now. It's not just the television.
Right.
I really think
you've been on the ground.
I think you should go out to Ohio and investigate.
I don't know that if you show up, there's just going to be people on every corner chowing down somebody's dog. I think you would have to. I think they'd be a little discreet about it.
Well, that's why I said you should go investigate, Brad. You should take your team. You, Ian, Forrest, Mommy.
Yeah, all right, we'll go. Forrest Mommy, you want to go investigate the dog cat eating claims in Springfield,
Ohio? Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. It'd be fun. What if we show up and there's nothing going on? We got to break into people's houses or what?
I mean, Brad, you tell me. You're the last investigatorial journalist in the field.
I appreciate that, Mr. President. I'm honored to have you say that. So, there was something the other day. I heard this clip, and I want to know what you intended. Here's the headline here. I thought that you were, so the headline says, Trump falsely attacks Harris as mentally impaired and mentally disabled, prompting criticism. You were saying that Biden, he developed a mental impairment, but Kamala was born that way, which sounded like you were calling her retarded.
Well, I mean, I should have just called her retarded.
Yes, thank you.
She's I don't trust her against a place like China or dealing with Putin. What's she gonna do? She's a weak liberal.
Yeah. So you equate that with being somewhat
retarded.
Mentally disabled. Yeah, let's see if we can hear the clip here. I actually have it on here. Let's see if I got that right.
Harris mentally impaired while speaking at rallies over the weekend.
There's your song.
On Saturday, the former president made the comment at a Crawford County, Wisconsin rally, alongside claiming the Iranian president is trying to kill him.
Can you believe it? Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. She was born that
way. Trump repeated the...
So that to me seems like a pretty strategic provocation. I mean, that didn't seem off the cuff to me. Did you guys pre-script that, Mr. President?
Oh, we've been talking about it. We talk about her behind her back a lot.
Right. In the skiff?
Yeah, in the skiff. We come up with a lot of jokes.
Do you
Got
have any
joke
offhand?
writers, you know?
Yeah. Who's your joke writer?
I can't tell you that, Brad.
Oh, that's classified, huh?
Yeah, you know, we can't have them get compromised.
I mean, you could have gotten me and Force Mommy to help with your jokes, but
I looked into it and they said I couldn't afford you.
Oh, is that true? You could have.
I am not. I am pretty expensive. I will say that.
Yeah,
he's right there.
I'm cheap. I'm super cheap, Mr. President.
Well, you know, maybe you should maybe write me a promo and then we'll put it on your show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. President. So we've been talking about getting active locally and not having to basically cutting the strings of having to be dependent on big government at the federal level, something that Force Mommy is a leader in, I would say. People should follow in her footsteps of getting on the ground and not even. So I say there's people who want to go out and be politicians and like say, come follow me. But then there's people who almost unintentional leaders who just get tired of it and go do it. Then people see what they do and they go follow them. And I feel like Jessica is in that latter group where she just goes and does it and people are inspired by it. What would you say by that? Is that type of mentality a threat to what you are proposing for America, Mr. President, or is it something that you would encourage?
I think it's something I'd encourage, you know, like the founding fathers. You know, I never wanted to do this, Brad. I never wanted to do it. I wanted the politicians to handle it themselves.
Yeah.
But the founding fathers, you know, they were all farmers. And they'd leave their farms in their small towns. They'd go to Washington and they'd advocate.
Just like you. You're a farmer once, right?
And then they'd, well, you know, it depends on I farm buildings, Brad.
Yeah, of course. Same thing.
You know, it's very similar but very different all at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
My crops just grow higher and stronger and harder.
Right. Harder?
Oh, yeah. Concrete's very hard.
Romano Production says, Force Mommy can ditty me. Sorry.
I saw that.
It's a very complimentary comment.
Well, so let me finish real quick. You know, they'd go and they'd advocate for 8 years, and then they'd go back home, and they wouldn't get rich off of it. All of these politicians, you know, they go in, and then they come out millionaires or bigger than that. You know, you got the Obamas who now are big into Netflix. You know, they're making all that Netflix money.
Yeah.
Trying to ruin the name of people like Vince McMahon.
Oh, is that right? You don't believe that he liked to have sex with guys?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't finished the documentary yet.
Oh, I didn't mean to spoil it for you. Apparently,
I just don't think what he did was all that bad. I mean, was it all that bad?
What did he do? I haven't seen it.
I heard he was feeding women to Brock Lesnar.
Really? Wow.
Like ritualistically, I don't know. It's crazy.
That does sound a bit wild. I didn't realize all that. I know the World Wrestling Federation, that lifestyle can be kind of wild. I've met some wrestlers, and the stories they tell are very sexual in nature, I have to say. Would you agree, Mr. President? I know you've been involved in that. So, you know, gangbangs outside of a broken down bus on the highway, stuff like that.
I've never been a part of that, but I do know that they it's like a traveling circus, you know. Like I did hear one story years ago about Vince McMahon, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash, and Vince looks at Scott and he goes, "That was the first time that I had a gay experience." And Scott Hall goes, "When was that? Yesterday?"
Right. What? That you had a gay experience?
No, Vince McMahon did.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
And Scott Hall was implying that, you know, that must have been recent, but Vince McMahon was like, no.
No, it was a long time ago. There's nothing wrong with that, though. You know, it's perfectly fine. Mr. President, I want to put up a little bit of Saturday Night Live's cold opening, and I'd love to get y'all's commentary on it. Did you guys watch it?
I just I tuned out couldn't stick through it. It was way too long.
I haven't seen it, but I would like to see a little bit of it and get y'all's
It's
thoughts on
13
it.
minutes long, Brad.
Well, we don't have to watch the whole thing. We can just watch some of the beginning.
Hey, you know, I noticed that Sanjay Gupta can speak really fast, like the Micro Machine Man. I was pretty impressed.
I turned it up to 1.5 speed.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can. You can do that. Technology can do a lot of things these days. All right. Here's the SNL cold opening. I haven't seen any of this yet. I've only heard about it.
Good evening. For ABC News, I'm David Muir. And is it just me, or is it kind of handsome in here? I had hoped the takeaway of the debate I moderated would be my striking good looks, but unfortunately, it was whether or not I was biased towards the Democrats. Which, duh. But in the interest of fairness, we'll be going live to rallies from both candidates tonight. Let's go first to Vice President Kamala Harris.
Well, look who fell out of that coconut tree.
Very surface level.
Well, your fun aunt has returned. The fund has been rebooted. Too fun, too furious. I am so happy to be campaigning in whatever swing state I'm in, which I will just refer to as Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia. Because I am going to protect your Georgia.
We'll take it till Walsh comes out.
You see, my campaign is like the Sabrina Carpenter song, Espresso. The lyrics are vague, but the vibe slaps. And sure, I like to laugh. I do.
There's got to be hip.
But let me tell you something. If you start talking nonsense to me, I'm going to hit you with one of these. Now this election is about moving forward. You see,
and she can like be funny sometimes. It's like this is just not funny. It's not. Funny.
Yeah, you're right. They go after the things that it's acceptable to make fun of her.
She's not even doing like a parody or anything like that. She's just speaking the rhetoric.
Well, yeah, she's just repeating certain. So the way they do the balanced comedy thing is like, well, okay, the things that it's like Kamala's okay being made fun of, or they're okay making fun of her, they'll hit, and they'll just ignore all this other stuff that you could actually. So they're not going to bring out Willie Brown. There should be a character playing Willie Brown. They're not going to do that.
Funny.
Or Montel Williams. Yeah,
that'd be funny.
Montel Williams and Willie Brown should come onto this stage. They're not going to do that.
But it's like I say to my husband, Doug, when he leaves his phone at the Chili's.
Oh, my God. They need you know what's a sketch is you have her out here, Willie Brown, Montel Williams come out, and Doug Emhoff is like just filming them because that's what he represents.
Do you really think that Kamala and Doug go to Chili's?
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't know that they're implying, but they do try to make them look normal. When Doug is one of the gayest guys, they promote Doug as a new type of man. He's very sexy. He's very masculine because of how beta and gay he is the messaging around Doug.
We are not going back.
It's just so crazy.
Not going back to that Chili's.
You're not. And you know, I am lucky enough to have a running mate who agrees. Come on out here, Coach Walls.
Oh, Jim Gaffigan playing Coach Walls.
Honestly, Gaffigan's mostly the only redeemable thing about the entire 13 minutes.
Oh, really?
Woo! Folks, I haven't been this excited since I got a 10% rebate on a leaf blower from Menards. What can I say? I got that BDE, Big Dad Energy. You see what I did there? You get it?
I got it. I didn't want it, but I got it.
All right, we're getting rid of that one. And
oh, you should have shown me. They got
they got you, but they got a lot they're gonna do. They're gonna hit surface stuff. They're not gonna do real comedy.
That guy he's not very good, Brad. He's not very good.
Have you guys seen this white dude for Harris? I don't know who this guy is that made a video. The comment from Sarah something who posted it said she's never been so dry in her life. Let's see, Mr. President, if this makes you dry or wet. This is a guy in a white dude for Harris shirt. He's probably 55. He's like shaking his hips. To coming in the air tonight?
I remember, don't worry.
Oh my God.
Do you remember? I remember how it all began. How could I ever forget? It's the first time.
I can't believe they butchered such a good song.
Now he's shaking his crotch.
I've never been so dry in my life either.
Yeah. It should be coming in my ass tonight is what it should be. Oh, now it's like they're getting to it. So look, if this guy's a gay man, then that makes more sense. If he's got a wife sitting somewhere in that house, she is on like adult
Cloud
friend
9.
finder or something, looking for something else.
She's on cloud 9, Brad.
You think she's on cloud 9?
Oh yeah. What do you think?
She's
Mark,
fucking
Monty?
the boyfriend in the
Right.
room
That's
next
what I was going to
door.
say. What do you think?
I
So
went
if you
there.
were dating somebody like that, Jessica,
But she is like my age range, body type. Actually, would fit into some of my.
like
needs
you think everything's
yeah.
great, then you walk in, you see
Yeah.
him making this video right here.
No thanks. Just the dancing alone.
Have you seen the actual White Dudes for Harris commercial?
I haven't. There's an actual commercial.
They spent $10 million on a white dudes for Harris.
Brad, that's the one you need to parody, like that the one you did where you rip your face off.
Well, I started cutting videos of me at Dragon Con with the ball gag in my mouth, just taking the audio out and just putting the imagery of me walking around during the voiceover with all the other images. I'm trying to make that work because what it is it's I can show it to you.
Yeah, you should bring it up. It's a doozy.
It really is. The fact that they spend $10 million on this, I don't know who they're appealing to.
How did they
here.
spend $10 million on that?
Not just on this. It's on an ad campaign they're calling it just grassroots ad campaign, which is obviously not grassroots. And they're trying to make it tough.
Grassroots.
They try to have this. It's like they said, Dennis Leary, will you do the voiceover for this? And then Dennis Leary said no. And then they got somebody who sounds as much like Dennis Leary as possible to make it seem like you can be tough and also you can be a white dude for Harris, which I feel sorry for guys who are white dudes who might actually want to vote for Harris, but are like, can we not be this gay about it? Like,
I'm
we have to
surprised
be.
they didn't get M. King. He's a good replacement for
Who's M.
Dennis
King?
Leary.
Who's that?
Well, let's just say his first name's Mike, and his last name starts with a K.
Is that an improviser in Atlanta?
It's just somebody I know.
That was a real deep cut right there, Mr. President. Yeah. All right, here it is. There's this. It's a whole. They got this woman who looks like Miss Piggy. It's a black woman that looks like Miss Piggy here, and she shows the ad that she brings on the white dude for Harris.
I don't know if I've seen that version. I didn't see Miss Piggy in it.
Here she is right here. You see her? There she is. She's wearing all pink. And it looks like a
Did she
looks like a
karate
DEI Miss
chop
Piggy.
somebody?
Did she what?
Karate chop somebody? That was Miss Piggy's move.
President Harris to mail voters. The ads will run in the critical blue wall states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Hey, white dudes. So I think we're all pretty sick of hearing how much we suck. Every time you go online, it's the same story. We're the problem. And yeah, some white dudes are. Trump and all his MAGA buddies are out there making it worse. So I've been doing my own research and decided to check out
doing his own
Kamala Harris
research.
and
It's
Tim
racist.
Walz. And before you jump down my throat, they're actually talking to guys like us. No lectures, no BS. Just real solutions that protect our freedoms and help us take care of the people who matter. end of the day, you're your own man. It's your call.
Joining us now to discuss this.
So this is the White Dudes for Harris leader, which to me looks exactly like you would expect him to look. Does he not?
Is he real?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is he
a cartoon or something?
It's just how it fits the role, the casting, like it's so perfectly.
You know, he's got a face like the shape of John Kerry's.
Jim Carrey?
John Kerry.
Oh, John Kerry. Right. I see.
Harris.
I want to see how he talks. How does his mouth and chin move and everything? It looks.
He's got quite an underbite for sure.
See how this
And look at there's no woman that ever comes in this apartment here. It just you can tell there's like.
Thank you so much for being here. First of all, what made you start this group, White Dudes for Harris? And I suspect some of it has to do with the polling.
Yeah, polling, I'm sure.
Yeah, for far too long, the left has essentially ceded white men to the MAGA right. And a thing that we know is that most men, especially most white men, aren't actually MAGA supporters. And so we decided that we wanted to create space for white men to be a part of electing Vice President Harris.
So, like, Mr. President, have you as a white man ever been like, we need to create space for us because we feel excluded? It's something that nobody who wasn't already a progressive would say, that terminology.
Well, you know, the only thing I might be able to compare it to is them casting Colin Farrell as the penguin instead of getting a real fat guy to do it with a club foot.
Well, so you say that is some sort of, you shouldn't do that in Hollywood. That's taboo.
Yeah,
he's too skinny, too good looking to play the
penguin. What do they call it? When they appropriating. He's appropriating fat people with club feet.
All right. I think you're probably going to have a few supercuts of you having a hard time finding your words there to talk about how mentally impaired you are, Mr. President. I hate to point that out.
You know, appropriating is not an easy word to remember.
It's tough to remember. I'm just saying the way the media likes to portray things. Forrest, Mommy, what did you think of that ad and the little bit that we saw of this so this guy, as Dee's Last says here, him saying most men, speaking about white men not having a place in the party. Well, just what's your view of that? Do you think he is a representation of most white men?
No, he's probably somebody who was hired as like a political operative to make this shit. Honestly, that's what it is. Like, in my opinion. But it's terrible. I don't know what's wrong. Something's wrong with that guy. It looks like a Muppet. He looks like I'm like a human Muppet,
His face is a little, it's like it's out of proportion.
You
it's like
he
made
You think that his mom or his dad might be a puppet?
Like really? So maybe his mom or dad, probably his dad had sex with a
Got
puppet.
it from some side. One of the genetics carried.
And maybe him and a puppet had an IVF baby, and he was it. I don't know.
Where do they find these people?
Aren't most Democrat politicians? Aren't most of them white men?
I mean, maybe you'd like that to be the case, Mr. President.
I think that's just fact check me, but I think I might be right about that.
Did you say fat chick you?
Fact check me.
Oh, fact check you. I thought you said fat chick you.
I
can't send you a fat chick, Mr. President. I don't have the power to do that.
I'm not too into the fatties.
Right.
He likes the horse faces. That's what.
Yeah, you're a horse face chick guy.
Horse faces with huge bazongas.
Yeah, right. You love it as well. You ever see Trump riding a female horse that really got some milkers? You know there's some real bestiality going on, right?
I'm not fucking horses, Brad.
All right, yeah, whatever. Yeah, the Democrats might welcome you if you were.
Oh yeah, they love the dog people and all that stuff.
You know, they did a campaign where they smeared a Republican candidate because his face looked like he fucked horses, because he was like a pumpkin guy. And so they actually did this campaign. I believe it was in Wisconsin, and it was a pivotal race for the control of the Supreme Court up there. That they donated like millions of dollars on both sides, and after the fact, the Democrat won. They came out and they said, "Yeah, no. What really worked for us is that we painted this guy as someone who fucks horses simply because of the way he looks." And you look at him and you're like, I buy it. He looks like somebody who sticks in a horse from time to time.
That's kind of like what they did to Nixon too. You know, they didn't give him makeup. They had him in a hotter room. He was sweating. He looked like a monster.
He was in the same room as Kennedy.
I don't know about that, Brad.
He looked like the same room. Mr. President, are you worried about another assassination attempt?
Always. You know, the Iranians are trying to kill me.
Well, a lot of people think that is not who it is that's trying to kill you. They think that is some sort of escalation against Iran for potential push into World War III.
Well, you know, you've seen the movie Back to the Future. We've talked about this, haven't we?
We have, yeah. By the way, Jack says that Fat Chick Me was his nickname in college, so you wouldn't be the only one, Mr. President.
I got another friend whose nickname's Fat Chicks, too.
So go ahead about Iran and the World War III.
You know, my uncle's Dr. Emmett Brown, and the Libyans are actually the Iranians.
Oh, so you're doing a parallel from Back to the Future to what is going on right now.
We stole the flux capacitor from the Iranians.
Right. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know that that's going to sell to the American public.
Well, that's why I only tell it to you and your listeners.
All right, great, hey, Mr. President. And we appreciate that.
I want to let all the secrets go with your listeners, Brad.
I know you do, and that's the reason why these videos get kicked off midstream sometimes is because you're so
millions and millions of listeners listening to the propaganda.
Millions and millions. Yeah, exactly. I want to ask you, Forrest Mommy, if you had to give advice to people who are fed up with everything and they want to just get out and do something, because it feels good to get out and do something. What would you tell them?
Honestly, if they, depending on where they live, if they live in like a city or a county, go to a city or county meeting, or even just go online. Usually they're doing Zoom, all these other committee meetings and crap throughout the week. You can like watch, and half of those aren't recorded anyways. So you can watch them. You listen to these morons and these like ill-equipped idiots talk about how they're going to be running the government and they suck. And you can learn how to like get records requests. You can just do that from your own. You just email that in. You can try and find stuff.
So that specifically is that, so when you hear that and it's like it, before you look into it, it sounds like, oh my gosh, that's like a whole nother thing to learn that's going to be difficult and challenging, but it usually isn't as hard as it comes off as when people first hear it, simply because they've never looked into it before. Do you know what the process for records request is in Colorado?
Usually, whatever, like, I just always type in Arvada records request and it pulls up whatever link I go to, and I go to that link and you just fill it out. You have to give your name. Some people can do it anonymously, but I just give my name. I don't care anymore. Give my name, and then like you start pinning down things you want to look for. So like I've been lately looking at emails between city council people and town manager stuff, because there's some drama because the town manager just up and left. All of a sudden she left and quit. So we're trying to figure out why. And with a $370,000, which she was I actually like this lady, but a snitch clause. So like she can't say nothing about why she left. And she got $370,000 severance, which that ain't bad. So, but yeah, that kind of stuff. It's not as hard. And once you meet other people, then they help and they'll do this stuff that like you don't really know how to do. And like it all kind of feeds together. And it's fun.
And it's like doing it once, doing it once makes you realize, it gets you familiar with it and makes you realize that it's really not as difficult as you thought. Because that's been the case. So an example for me is the Bitcoin hard wallet thing. People always say don't use the online Bitcoin or crypto platforms that make it seem easy because it's like a bank, but then they can go bankrupt and you can lose all your crypto. Because the alternative is I got to learn how to store the stuff on a hard wallet. How does that even work? I just kept it on a platform, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to learn this new thing yet. And then one of the platforms I use, Voyager, went bankrupt, and I lost a lot of crypto because of it, only to find out that it literally would have taken me 5 minutes to transfer it to a
And you
hard
lost
wallet.
a bunch?
I did. I lost a whole bunch of it. Because I'm like thinking, oh, I got to learn this new thing that I've never experienced. And it seems.
You want to put it off. Put it off. You're putting it
Exactly.
off.
That's exactly what I did. And, after this happened, it took me 5 minutes to learn how to do it the other way. I'm killing him. I'm going, my God,
A real easy way to get involved is if you're a parent, go to your local PTA. They're infiltrating the PTAs.
By they, do you mean the trans?
The deep state. They got people everywhere.
The progressive buffalo women, I call them. They're all ugly, and they get on the PTA, which is different from PTO. PTAs and the unions and the school boards. I call them buffarillos, to be actually honest. That's a mix between buffalo and gorilla.
It's not just ugly women, Forrest, Mommy. I heard a story.
My county it is. Sorry.
I heard a story about a man, and he doesn't have any children, and he's part of the school board PTA, and he's basically holding an iron fist over parents in Gwinnett County. So
really, you know a very specific story about Gwinnett County.
I know a lot of people in a lot of places, Brad. I was the president once.
And you have somebody doing that who doesn't have a child, and not to say that there aren't people who, but like, why would they be in that role?
Telling parents how they should raise their children. No diddy. That's what I say. No diddy.
No diddy, no doubt. Yeah. No diddy, no doubt, for sure. Yeah, the PTA and the school, the public school system. So talking to people, I infiltrated. I've talked about this on the show, but Jessica, me, and Ian, we infiltrated a sign holding thing for Harris, where they just went on the corner of this popular road in Roswell, Georgia, and they just started chanting, we're not going back, we're not going back. And I had a white dude for Harris shirt on, was acting very gay, and they loved it. And so I was asking all of them, what's the scariest thing about Project 2025? And the most popular answers they gave me were, one, every single page of it, which means they haven't read any of it. And then two, it was they're going to eliminate the public education system. And that terrified them because some of them were school teachers. And that's like the best thing. I don't know if Trump is actually going to do that, but like if he did, that would be fantastic, because that's one of the most destructive things in the country, along with the news literacy programs. But these people on the left are programmed to believe that the public education system is like one of the most important things. And then you have the Teachers Association, you have these PTA boards, which obviously they're going to send Soros-backed people and other activists to try and take over, because they want control of the kids' minds. And do you feel that some of these people who are in there, that like, do you know, like, where do they come from? What are they doing there? How do we find out about that? Like I'm kind of going roundabout with this question here, because I'm thinking about some of the stuff you said, Jessica, about how easy it is to look stuff up. They depend on us not looking stuff up. They depended on us sitting around doing nothing so that they can slip this shit in, not doing the records request, not asking questions about the random childless person who may have just moved in from another town to take over. What are your thoughts on just the vomit of stuff that I just said there?
Me specifically?
Yeah. Because you seem to know, and I know I'm not very specific with the question. I mean,
No, I mean, they get them from college sociology programs that are basically bureaucrats going to all these nonprofit jobs and all these people, and then they become progressives. Sometimes they have these things called emerge training centers. If there's an emerge training center in your state, the progressives are already taking over. It's happening in Wisconsin right now.
Now, what is that? What's an Emerge Training Center?
This one, Emerge, was to help empower women to be involved. So they got just the worst of the worst Democrat women who just are they just have they don't fit in anywhere else, and they're just the ugliest and just should not have any power in life. And they helped empower them and give them positions and help them get on all these nonprofits in school, and then like get into the school board. It all works with Act Blue. It's all part of this. I know I sound crazy.
It's all part of the system.
I mean, I agree. We need to limit ugly people's power.
Yes.
The progressive and the activists, they draw people in like that. So somebody could be attractive, but they take on this mentality of progressivism, which is built on victim nature and dependency on the government. And it makes them, even if on the exterior, you look at them and go, oh, that might be a pretty girl. Then you go, oh, look, those are the hairiest fucking legs I've ever seen. And that's the worst attitude I've ever seen. And you want to stay 100 miles away from them. But they attract people like that who feel like they don't have anywhere else to go, who feel lost, and they target the psychological manipulation towards them, which really a lot of people who are drawn into this, in my opinion, are drawn into it because they probably have too much money and nothing to do. And they have like an axe to grind against alpha male type mentality or the patriarchy anyway. And they think that doing this shit is going to benefit them when they have no idea that the people they're helping are the same people who don't give a fuck about them. They don't fucking care. Like, they think that Kamala Harris is like anybody who thinks Kamala Harris is genuine in the least bit is brain dead, in my opinion. Yet we know many white dudes who think that she's a legitimate person. At least that's what I think they're saying behind their COVID masks they're still wearing.
One of my liberal friends was like, yeah, thank God they switched out Biden, and he's going to vote for her. But it's because he hates Trump so much. And I'm just like, the psychology, it's just like, I'm just like, how?
Well, it's also
and he's
the
a
same
smart
mentality
person.
I don't care about the politics, but I want to be a part of electing the first female president, no matter what her qualifications are.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the angles they pitch, but from the people I talk to and I ask, even at Dragon Con, the few people, I know the video I put out, it looks like everybody I asked was for Kamala, but the whole video, it was pretty even, Trump and Kamala, so which you would not expect at Dragon Con. But when I asked why do you like Kamala, almost every answer is because she's not Trump. You ask, why do you like Trump? And not one person says because he's not Kamala. It's just a different mentality of people. It's almost hate is more motivating than love or admiration. When really logic and reason and what's best for the individual should be motivating, but they don't want that because it takes away their control.
I mean, that's a very, very wise statement you just said, Brent.
Thank you, Mr. President. And a comment here. We have Iris says, damn, this bitch fine is AF, talking about you, for us, mommy. And Denver says, she's great. She ran for office and speaks on the ground, and absolutely correct. Let's see what else we got here. What's more genuine than making staffers call you general? Was that a story behind Kamala? She made her staffers call her general. That'd be hilarious if she did.
That's something that sounds familiar.
University of Northern Colorado still has a rainbow shit. Queer the Bear? Is that, you know anything about Queer the Bear?
Yeah, it's like just around Greeley. UNC's around in the Greeley area, and like I guess there's. He sends me pictures of like all this gay shit. It's just like gay banners that were something for the school, like out on the, it's just all this. There's the gay shit.
A lot of gay shit.
So much gay shit. It's just so much.
I mean, the gay shit, I don't even think they like the gay shit. I think the gay shit is almost, they make you think everybody loves the gay shit that's on that side, because going to Emory and having my friend Jocelyn, who's a biological male, pretty himself up and pretend to be a trans person. I mean, these very progressive, trans-loving, LGBT-loving, inclusive Emory students were repulsed by my friend, who was a very pretty transgender, I have to say. I don't think they actually, in the real world, believe a lot of the things, because I don't know that they've experienced it. the people they're targeting.
Yeah. A lot of the trans stuff isn't even about gay stuff anymore. Like there's some trans that are getting in on the state house here. One has, he's like, he just turned that way and like got the biggest, giantest, most boobs ever. It's like,
dude,
it looks like a joke. It looks like a joke, and this person's running for the state house, you know, and it's like that's not even a gay person because he's married to a woman. He's married to a woman still,
and that they're not allowed to question that. So this person could be trolling like the one in Canada who had the big fake tits and was the shop teacher. You know, he's like doing shop shit, knocking things around with these big fake tits. But nobody can question it because to question it is to be transphobic. So it gives people who want to be like, all right, let me get some shit done. Let me put on some fake titties and call myself a chick. In fact, maybe that's a good strategy. Mr. President, have you considered that?
You know, you and Ian keep trying to talk me into it.
Can you imagine Trump with great tits and a bussy? Mr. President?
You're an inappropriate man, Brad. And I like it.
I'm just trying to put some ideas out there, Mr. President, is all. Is all, yes.
Did I bring up John Kerry yet?
Orange Man Stacks. No, well, you did. You said that one person looked like John Kerry's face.
You know, he was at your boys in Davos. He went to visit Davos. They invited him out to the World Economic Forum.
Yeah, you've been to Davos.
And I put him on notice.
Is that
put him
right?
on blast.
Yeah, okay.
But John Kerry went out there and said that the First Amendment was the thing standing in the way of democracy.
There's been a lot of questions about that in these think tanks. Like the Brookings one that I watched the other day, they were talking about the First Amendment empowering disinformation. They definitely, whenever elections come specifically, always start to clamp down even more online when it comes to free speech. Free speech has never been absolute, not really. And it's almost like they're putting forward the idea of censoring people more brazenly to win public support from the certain parts of the public to censor it, to get the public to agree, yeah, we don't need free speech. And I don't know how successful they've been. So it used to be they'd be like they would categorize certain speech as hate speech and therefore outlaw it that way. And they're still doing that. But on top of that, they're also saying, you know what, free speech is what is enabling Trump/Hitler to rise again. So therefore, maybe we shouldn't support it. It's almost like the brainwashing of the past 120 years. They're trying to see just how effective it has been on society and how far they can stretch what people will agree when it comes to their own oppression, calling for their own oppression. I don't know. I think really that more people recognize the bullshit. I think that when you go out and talk to people, which I've done, Jessica's done a lot of, Mr. President, you've done a lot of, I think you see that everything they show us on the screens it's a really, really exaggerated bullshit. I mean, there was really very little enthusiasm at the Kamala or Walsh rally that I know. I mean, none. Like, literally none. It's crazy. And speaking of Walsh, I did want to ask you, Forrest Mommy, am I wrong that Walsh comes off as a creepy
light in the
man?
loafers? Light in the loafers?
Yeah. I mean, literally, the way he runs. He's light in the loafers. He seems kind of rapey.
There's a lot of those men out here that I've been running into at different levels of government out here where I'm like, oh, you're married to a woman, are you? Are you? Okay.
Right. You don't believe it. Doesn't make any sense.
Okay. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious.
It's like, I feel like I can't figure out who's
gay. He's gay.
Yeah, right. Who's gayer? Is it Doug Emhoff or Walsh? I don't know.
I'm
They'll
sure
have to fuck it out.
They gay off with each other all the time.
They fight, and I don't know what the wife does. I mean, Tim Walsh's wife is as crazy as he is, if you've seen some of her talks.
You guys are making a lot of wild allegations.
So, wait, Jack, did he really teach sex ed? I know that he was the leader. Like, he started a LGBTQ organization at the school he was at. and I know that he signed a bill as governor. It is weird, where he allowed, I think, children to be able to start to transition without telling their parents, like their teachers could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Did he? I mean, that would make sense if he taught sex ed. Like seeing the way his kid. So people make fun of his kid and the whole thing about his kid at the DNC, where they're like,
His
"How are you
kid
making
looked
fun?"
like a dork. He looked like a dork. Sorry.
It's a developmental issue. How dare you make fun? I didn't see that at all. I saw an abusive
You look
parent
like
situation.
a dork kid. I don't care what kind of developmental issues you had. You looked like
He
a
looked
dork.
like a dork who his father has been
Roll
like
with it.
abusive. You saw the way he jerked his. I don't. That guy is the creepiest son of a bitch I've ever seen in my life. But he's creepy in like a plain spoke. I mean, I seriously think that I'm not going to make any accusations, but I think he's one of the most disgusting individuals I've ever seen in public life. Mr. President. Oh, you're quiet, Mr. President.
I think he's a weirdo. I think he acts weird. I think he looks weird. I don't understand the coach thing. Did he ever coach anything?
Well, they say he coached high school, but he uses football analogies like your girlfriend trying to fit in with the boys who's never watched a football game. Might use one. He'd be like, sometimes when you're an underdog, you just gotta throw the ball across home plate and hope that the other team doesn't kick it into the goal. It's like he has no idea what he's talking about. Like he's never watched or played football. I think that he should have to show he can throw a spiral and catch a pass before anybody calls him Coach Walsh again. They love calling him Coach Walsh. When I was infiltrated this group, I'm going, love Coach Walsh. And they're like, Coach Walsh is great. I'm like, it makes me want to get under center. And they're like, yeah, me too. And they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's mind-boggling.
It's like first and long, and you need the first down before the second one. Otherwise, they're not going to go anywhere.
Right. And then he starts repeating a line from the Any Given Sunday. He's still, I don't think people realize this, but he actually repeats some of, who was the actor that played the coach in Any Given Sunday, Mr. President?
Al Pacino.
Al Pacino. He does Al Pacino lines from Any Given Sunday randomly in some of his speeches. And but he does them out of context. They don't make any fucking sense. All right. Al Pacino. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're not football analogies. Exactly. Okay. Picturing a Lady Trump. All right. So, Jessica, what do you got going on? Tell everybody where they can find you, what you're doing in the near future that you want to inform people about, and just anything else.
Just follow me on Force Mommy. I'm always at Force Mommy on Twitter. I'll get back into streaming again someday, but right now we're just working on a lot of the NGO. We're deep diving that local government. We're trying to find connections between a lot of stuff. So that's what I'm doing. Just follow my Twitter to find ways to find out if it's happening in your neck of the woods. Luckily, when that whole Aurora story blew up, people came to Aurora. It was the weirdest thing. The people here are trying to hide it, right? The local news was like, it's not happening.
What was that story?
That there was gangs taking over apartment buildings, which not like, yeah, they actually were, because these are freaking slums with these nonprofits. We're putting these nonprofits are getting all this money through the the whatever act from $1 billion from during COVID that's funded all this immigration basically. But anyways, it just blew up everything, and people dug into stuff, and we started digging into local NGOs and the nonprofits. It's just the way the money goes back and forth, and who worked here that's now a politician here. It's all this stuff. It's literally behind you. It's literally all that, where you're trying to connect everybody. It's nuts. So I'm trying to work on that, and I'm helping a couple campaigns out. So I don't know. Follow me if you like to follow pretty girls who do things. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
It gives great information. So what you just said right there, I didn't know all the details of that, and what you talked about earlier about the finding information, doing those records requests. You give great information. You're a great example, and great follow. Everybody follow her. I appreciate the work you're doing. It's inspiring. And tell us about your dog. I want to hear a little bit about your dog before we get out.
Oh yeah, he's so cute. He loves playing keep away. loves it. Like he has a little lamb right now, or his ball, like, or he'll take his ball and he'll play forever. Just putting the ball in your hand. As soon as you go to try and grab it, he grabs it.
Yeah.
So and that's just that for an hour. Like you never get the ball.
So, he looks from all the photos I've seen, he's a great watchdog protecting the house.
Mm-hmm.
And
he gets the squirrels. He loves he barks at the squirrels. It's so cute. So
yeah. Do you take him to events? Have people met him?
No, but he did go on vacation to Wisconsin with us. So he was out there with us, with Grandma and Grandpa for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he met some people. He went on a boat. He went on a party barge with a bunch of people. It was really cute. But yeah, that's about it.
Very cool. Well, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure. I love talking to you. And you're welcome anytime. Actually, I know you do a lot of stuff.
I laughed like I laughed, especially if Trump's on. I'm just gonna laugh too much.
Right. Mr. President, thank you for joining us and bringing.
Of course, I'm the funniest president we've ever had.
Even funnier than Lincoln. Was he funny?
You know, I've heard that Lincoln was a real serious guy.
You think so? Was he gay? Some people think he was gay.
Some people think he was. You know, I don't care though. He was.
You lady boy with him?
I don't know if there were lady boys back then, Brad.
I think there probably were. I think there might have been more of them. I'm just saying, would you though, like if you had to travel back in time and you had to infiltrate just to find out, you could learn everything that President Lincoln knew and you could use it to protect America in the future. Would you pretend to be a lady boy?
What you're saying? I'm going to honeypot Lincoln? I think
would you
just be like, I'd come out and I'd be like, hey, I'm the president of the United States from the future.
But what if that wouldn't
work?
How do
you
had
know
to
I
honeypot
haven't already. My uncle's basically Emmett Brown. You know.
You're talking about John. Your uncle, is it John Trump?
I'm basically Marty McFly.
Right, because he did steal off Tesla's stuff from the feds. Basically,
well, he didn't steal it. They gave it to him.
They gave it to him, and he took credit for. Well, we're just wondering. So you're saying you have gone back in time and you have Ladyboy to get information from Lincoln?
I'm not saying that.
All right. It sounds like you might be. Nothing, not judging you. In fact, you might win some votes if you come out and say, I know this because, I ladyboyed.
You know, Brad, I don't know if I'm going to follow your advice.
That's disappointing, Mr. President. I'm just trying to help you out.
I'll give you a call, though, Forrest, Mommy. We'll see if our people can talk about hiring you onto the staff and getting you over to one of these McDonald's buffets.
Yes,
I could use some paid work. To be honest.
I mean, I can pay in McDonald's too.
That's fine.
Yeah. We'd prefer money, but McDonald's would also be great. You can check out the president. Is it actionshowstudios.com, Mr. President?
Yeah, or if somebody said they wanted to see a lady Trump, go to Game of Walls, Danny 2016, DANY.
Yeah, interesting. And you can see a lady Trump, very, very pretty, very funny. And what about on X?
If you want to, follow Mitch Fuzz Landstrong.
Yes, yeah. Follow Mitch Landstrong on X. And yes, Forrest Mommy is in Colorado. Irie, thank you for the tip. I appreciate that. We'll talk to you guys next time at Freedom Act Radio on X, propagandafight.com's website, youtube.com/Brad Binkley to see all the videos shortly before they get removed, and rumble.com/PropReport. We will do it again soon. You guys have a fantastic rest of your day.
Bye.